Thinking with the Stars. I'm your host, Soul Cancer. Today I'll be talking about the upcoming hard aspect that's occurring with Jupiter and Mars. They're making a square. Mars is going to be in Taurus and Jupiter is going to be in Aquarius. And so this is coming up. It's today's the 19th, so it's going to be happening in about 4 days, and I'm going to release the video in about 4 days because this is my second video. So the first video was talking about Mars square Saturn, which had just occurred last week. But really what I'm doing is I'm going back the last 5 years to when Jeffrey Mishlove started his New Thinking Aloud channel, and I'm looking at other instances of the same hard aspect on days when Jeffrey had recorded interviews, and I'm looking at things that they were talking about during the interviews that relate to one another, and trying to see if we can come up with any themes. So Jeffrey Mishlove's channel has only been running for the past 5 years. I mean, he's been in the business for a long time. He had a TV show. He had a TV show on PBS back years ago. Okay, but yeah, he had a TV show on PBS years ago, Thinking Aloud. But I really need to have access to the dates that the videos were recorded, and so that's fine. I just need to go back, and that's how I'm selecting what aspects I'm picking. I was able to find 3 or more interviews that were recorded during the same hard aspect, and so that's what I'm using as my criteria. If I can find 3 interviews that were recorded during a particular hard aspect, then I'll release a video at the time of a similar aspect. And that's the thing. I mean, these aspects are always different. There's the other planets that are coming into effect. Neptune is in Pisces, and that's Neptune's home planet, and it's been in Pisces since 2011. It's going to be in Pisces until 2025. During this period, what happens is it intensifies Neptune's effect. So if Neptune is a planet that's supposed to be making me feel more open to different concepts that are going to liberate me from my life, then I'm going to be feeling that stronger during this 2011 to 2025 period. The transit of Jupiter from Sagittarius to Capricorn demonstrated that there were benefits to Jupiter's influence, but there were also limits to Jupiter's influence. The first benefit demonstrated during the first interview I'll talk about showed how a deeper understanding of reality increased the possibility of us being able to transcend reality, if that makes any sense. So it's basically, I'm looking at reality. I want to be the type of person who's able to transcend reality and become like a universal being and not be tied down, bogged down in all this stuff that's going on. So what do I need to do? I need to study all the things that maybe science has revealed to us, all the knowledge that's out there in the world. I need to learn all of that in order to be able to move past it into something else, whatever that something else might be. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to work hard at my job where I'm able to get enough money to retire to somewhere where I'm able to, lay on the beach and drink rum punch, That's my deal. Why would I want to study so hard just to become some kind of, I want to say transient being. I don't know if that's the word, but be some kind of like universal entity who, it's just going to kind of combust into flames after 3 weeks, or, disappear and leave like a rainbow shit stain, Anyhow, there's a second interview I'm going to be talking about, and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about how we're able to naturally cease headache pain using certain techniques, and this is another part of Jupiter and Sagittarius transit that it's going to reveal to us. So talking about pain relief. And the third interview that I'm going to be discussing, this is after Jupiter's through with Sagittarius and it's moving into Capricorn. So at this point, this is what I was saying about limits to Jupiter's influence. There were certain things that couldn't be improved by being reconceptualized, like Jupiter is fond of doing. So let me get started. On the 20th of November in 2018, Jeffrey interviewed Charlie Tart about the spiritual implications of parapsychology. Jupiter was the biggest planet, and it was transiting Sagittarius, its home sign. So Jeffrey and Charlie, they're old friends. They want to take the opportunity to discuss how remote viewing, clairvoyance, telepathy, how is it that they're able to function, and what good would come from a greater understanding, or what good would come from a widespread adoption of these types of parapsychology. They're the types of parapsychology, so what good would come from a greater adoption of that in mainstream society? Is it plausible? Is this something we want to do? Something we want to avoid? Conceptually, I left out telekinesis. So telekinesis is another form of parapsychology, and telekinesis utilizes a disproportionate amount of energy to create a small effect. So I had mentioned that in the previous video. It's inefficient. Okay, telekinesis is quite inefficient when it's trying to get things done. Okay, but it's actually a really robust concept. Okay, so telekinesis is the idea that I can move things with my mind. And it's like, fact is, I can't move things without my mind. I need my mind in order to move things, okay? It's like, telekinesis is contingent on it getting anything done. Even today, we're looking at like having prostheses that are tied into our brain, so we're able to move artificial limbs just by thinking about it. I mean, this is the reality. And even Jeffrey says in the video that space and time are not boundaries for the human mind. So I wanted to talk here about the Bible just for a second, because I really want to put people off. I don't want people to like this channel at all. So it's the Gospel of Mark in chapter 11, verse 23, and this is a quote from the New International Version, which just kind of using a little bit more plain language, more accessible. And it's quoting Jesus, "If anyone says to this mountain, 'Go throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes what they say will happen, it will be done for them." So this is Jesus basically advocating for telekinesis. I mean, he does it in the context of prayer, and I guess it's all part and parcel to that whole language. But I also wanted to make a point, something I had kind of recently discovered, and it's that we need to liberate our personal experiences from the burden of providing a reason for continuing. So what I'm saying is, and I've been guilty of this as well, saying that if your life is feeling meaningless, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, what we shouldn't be doing is looking at our past experiences and kind of saddling them with the burden of having to explain why we're doing what we're doing. So I guess if you're feeling that your life is meaningless, you need to be doing something differently. I guess that's what I was trying to say. Whereas looking back at our past experiences and saying, okay, there's got to be something in there, and digging through your memory and all this soul searching and everything, it's really not going to tell us a good reason why we should be doing what we should be doing in the future, okay? It's not based on all this stuff that happened in the past, okay? The past is like, it's like a putty in your hand, okay? And you just got to use your imagination and reframe all those things that happened in the past in terms of successes and survival, and not in terms of burdens and troubles and worries and challenges. And just, this is, like I say, the lesson of Jupiter and Sagittarius, where we're able to learn more and push the boundaries about what we know by being analytical and understanding things. Well, this is something I've come to understand, and I'm sharing it. Mars and Pisces gave the conversation the metaphysical flair, where they were able to kind of go beyond just your everyday bricks and mortar stuff going on, and look at, okay, what's kind of beyond the material, okay? So on September 12th, 2019, Jeffrey interviewed Jan Murdo about healing headaches and migraines. So on this date, it was September 12, 2019, Mars was in the 11th house in Virgo. So Virgo is a healing sign, and it was squared to Jupiter in the 2nd house, who is home in Sagittarius. So Jupiter had moved from Sagittarius to Capricorn. That's going to do by the time we get to the next video the next year. Jan described developing a discipline of understanding how to relieve headache pain for tension headaches. So tension headaches are kind of feeling like a vice grip, like a tight headband. And she's talking about using a balancing and stilling approach. And migraine headaches were more like that pulsing and pounding. And for them, she was advocating a loosening approach. And so basically how this works, I mean, the great thing about it is that practicing on yourself is, like we can go to the Mars and Virgo, the personal aspect of this, and talk about biofeedback. So biofeedback in terms of pain, you're talking about, you're going to have to trust me and let you know when you're working on me that, oh yeah, you got the spot right there. You got the spot right there where it hurts, right? I haven't had enough coffee yet today, and it's just yow. And that's what we do. We put our hands where it hurts, okay? And we maintain that pain to touch. Pain to touch contact. We maintain contact with the pain by touch. And then we can move the pain around. And she describes different ways of doing it. And like we say, there's a methodology to it. So that's one of the best things about Jupiter. I'm just getting myself a neck massage too while I'm at it. Oh, but that's, sorry. Okay, who cares? But that's one of the best things about Jupiter and Sagittarius. How it really helps is that it's giving you kind of step-by-step instructions how to do some of these things to help us. And the Mars and Virgo aspect, that's why we're talking about healing, okay? Whereas the previous interview with Jeff and Charlie, Mars was in Pisces. So that's why we were talking about different ways Jupiter and Sagittarius gives us instructions on how to be open. Whatever that means, but you getting the gist. So just to give a brief synopsis, you maintain that pain to touch contact, and you cycle the pain out the back of the head. And you just release it. Oh, gone. The 11th house, Mars was in the 11th house, so switching to the Placidian system, 11th house, that would imply that there was a lack of literature in this area. There was nowhere to go for information about healing touch. They hinted that maybe traumatic memories were buried in the unconscious, and those could manifest themselves as headaches. And Jupiter was in the second house in the Placidian system, so that meant that something might have to be sacrificed if it were a headache trigger. Okay, that's the Chinese mean theory. So maybe not enough water, different kinds of foods, alcohol and MSG, for instance. Bad posture can cause headaches, lifestyle, activities, stressors, and some types of exercise. They were all potential causes of headaches. And this is the last interview I'm going to be talking about. It was on August 4th, 2020. It was just maybe, 6 months ago or so. Jeffrey did an interview with Betty Kovacs entitled "Working on What Has Decayed." Betty suggested people lie to themselves about doing business with evil, and I'm certainly guilty of this as well. Healing professions, for instance, they dealt with death. They dealt with disease. They dealt with illness. They dealt with injury. And this is what they work with. So these are highly respected people, and they do business with evil. The police, they deal with criminals. Criminals were defended or persecuted by lawyers. Social workers do business with evil. They protect children who are at risk from abuse. Only when you look at the economy, like say the manufacturing sector and service sector, okay, they don't directly deal with evil. Okay, so I mean, they might make a mean hamburger or something like that, but just we gobble it up and it's all good. And same thing, like we build a building and or build a good, a product, but the fact is that after that good's been consumed, after that product, after that product's been built, that good Ford, or that good Ford Astrovan, I was going to say, after that good Ford Astrovan is built, that F-150 comes off the line, somebody's still got to buy it, So it is a problem with the way our economy is set up, is that it's not all good. I'm going to end talking about Anubis, who was the jackal-headed Egyptian deity. Anubis ate decayed food, and he was able to transform it. So gods would appreciate a sacrifice of the finest things in life, champagne, caviar. But when you're not able to meet your own needs, how do you appease your god with sacrifice? So Anubis was a merciful god, an example of a merciful god who accepted gifts of food that was no longer edible by humans. I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much. I'll be back in a month's time or so, where I'm going to be talking about two personal planets that have made many hard aspects over the past 5 years, Mars and Venus. So I'll find that interesting anyway, and thank you very much. Have a good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it is, and I'm gonna go do stuff. Okay, thanks, bye.